Hey guys, welcome back to Coffee and Crystals. I'm your hostess, Katie Chronister, and today on the show we are doing exactly what we promote on the show, taking care of my mental health by restoring and relaxing and coming to you and recording in bed. I was off from all the places that I usually have to be, like I didn't have to be anywhere, and I really just felt like after coming off election week, the second week of me actively participating in the winter arc, I deserved a day to do as little as possible. I had an acai bowl from one of my very favorite places in West Hollywood. Got to support the community right now. And I am drinking my electrolytes because after Run Club, by the way, if you guys are local, you have to come out Thursday nights, 7 o'clock every week. We meet at the Pink Wall unless we meet with a partnership that we have. So check out the Instagram on that. But we run 3 miles, and last night we went out afterwards, me and Hannah. And we're going to be going at it again tonight. So I am drinking amino acids with electrolytes to bring me back to life. It's the mixed berry flavor. It's by Body Health. I'll drop the link in the show notes. This is not a paid partnership. I just really love this stuff. And also, since I am participating in the winter arc, which we're going to get into of whatever that means to me, and I'm going to share that with you guys in this show, but I'm really focusing on building back my strength. So my muscles are hurting, and the protein support that this electrolyte has is really good for maximizing optimal health and recovery. But it was election week, and in West Hollywood, being in the heart of the real blue wall and probably one of the bluest cities even in California, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling a big shift that a lot of you that are tuning in on different parts of the world are feeling a different energy. I had to literally cheer up LA this week and remind everybody that 7 days ago we won the World Series, because when that was happening, the celebration, and the next day grabbing coffee after the Dodgers won. I say we, but I actually feel like I haven't really been big into sports lately, but I kind of did publicly say I was going for the Yankees because you guys know I love New York. But still, the energy of LA and grabbing coffee that next day, everyone was so happy, everyone was smiling. I can imagine that's how it feels in the town that I grew up in Florida. In a lot of these cities, the energy was a little bit more joyful than here in West Hollywood. It has been pretty somber. And, all of this content I'm seeing on the internet and just really reflecting on my own journey and, why I feel the way I feel is, I think, more important now for you all to do the same than it was before the election. At the end of the day, we are all humans, and we truly are all in this together. We all got into this scenario together, so we have to come out of it together. And I think for me, what has been really helpful in this period of reflection is really understanding why I feel the way I feel. And it doesn't matter who gets elected. I'm going to still feel that way. And if anything, I think that if you are feeling down right now, take it from someone who has been kicked down a lot lately, these last couple of years, my character has really been tested. I was fired from 2 very big organizations with, a lot of stuff that was lies, but also I was fired by a lot of things that I actually did do and say. And my character was really spinned for, the public and, the people, I'm doing quote fingers, that fired me, really spun me as, this terrible person with this awful character. I was literally told by Beyond Yoga that my values did not match with theirs, and that is why they were letting me go. And, I just think that all of this is correlated to your own personal values. And it doesn't matter if you get fired or if your guy or your team doesn't win. You still have to show up every day and be the person that you want to be. And, don't let other people tell you that something's going to be a certain way and believe them. So I guess, I don't know if that tangent really made sense, but I was at the Denim Speakeasy this week, the denim shop that I work at on Melrose. And I had this client that came into the store, and she was telling me that she was like getting out of town. She had to leave LA. She didn't feel like it was going to be safe, that there was going to be riots, and she just had to get out of here. And her boyfriend bought her a ticket, and she was like going to Austin, Texas to like be safe. And I just was thinking, she got me thinking. I was like, oh geez, is there going to be riots like in 2020? But like there was other things going on in 2020 when that election happened and people were rioting. They were upset about George Floyd. Like there was like it was a different era than now. Like I was really like, I wasn't going to argue with the client, but I was like, really? I'm really like getting a different energy. Like the yoga instructors at Equinox are like talking about hope, and they're crying on the internet. Like my berries instructor was like selling like positive vibes, but also just felt like a heavy, sad energy. Like at Run Club last night, like people were literally like checking in. Like I was with my friend Ryan, like, are you okay? Like my friend Mark in New York, like I'm watching the things he's posting and people are calling him a fag on the internet. Like there's like sadness, but there's also all this rage and anger. And I just thought that today on my show, I would say that I think that we all just need to take a moment to pause and to reflect and to stop deflecting all of our emotions on other people. I think it's really important in a time of change. And like for me, like when I was fired and my character and my integrity was being poked at, it does not matter what you say in these situations. What it does matter is how you show up from here when you're knocked down. And sometimes not winning the race on like the left side's point of view doesn't mean that you can't still stand in your values and be somebody in your community and like keep marching towards your cause and your values. Like all the thoughts have been going on, like, just seeing how divided California in general is from like the rest of the world, how it's like everyone's kind of like the Republic of California, like I don't live in the US, I live in California. And that just got me thinking, like when I first came out to California in 2007, it was like 17 years ago, with my girlfriends, we did a spring break trip like down the PCH and experienced all the cities in LA and San Francisco and San Diego. We experienced all the city, like the big cities in California together. And I did feel like 17 years ago, I did feel like I flew out to another country. Like it felt that way in the air. Like not only could we like buy weed legally, I mean, I guess still it wasn't like completely legalized back then, but like definitely we went into the store and purchased weed. Like that definitely made first step of why it felt like a completely different country. But I just remember like coming off the Golden Gate Bridge and like whipping around those hills and like just truly like feeling nature in a way that I had never felt. Like I had traveled to New York and to Boston and to like places on the East Coast at that time, and like Key West, like that's nature-y in Florida, but like I had never experienced Earth the way that I did when I came out in California. So that got me thinking, like after this election, like everyone's up in arms that, Trump doesn't care about Mother Earth. And like, yes, that might be true or is true because of what he said and what he's like saying that he's going to do in his, in his laws but I think that like for me, it just got me thinking, well, what am I doing for the planet? Like if you are voting a certain way to, protect your earth and, and our earth, then like, how can we do that locally? And it's like when I first moved to California, the companies that I work for, we did a lot of like trash pickup events. I don't know, sometimes I'm not even like, I feel like when I'm traveling, I'm not even the best at recycling. I feel bad saying that out loud, but it's like, these are like small ways that we can make big impacts. And I think we just all need to check in. Like, what are we fighting for and how are we fighting for these things? And I know that there was a lot of big topics around the election that is like really offensive. Like, why are we voting about gay marriage? Like, does that mean that people who are married already, they have to like get unmarried? Or, you know, like, why do we have to like pick on that? But I also think at the end of the day, we can't control what is happening. We can just move around those obstacles. Like, my mom was like talking to me that she was scared about like losing Social Security, and like she doesn't have, you know, a bunch of money saved up in her 401k. And I think that sometimes it's hard to relate to the fear of, you know, things like this going away. And by the way, just a little bit of knowledge there, like the Senate would have to pass that for it to go away. Like, I know that Trump has said that he's like going to get rid of the taxes for like Social Security, but that still does have to go through the Senate, and you'll need enough votes for that to pass. So I don't know, just that fact helped me like not be so scared. But I also grew up, like, my great grandmother had a bunch of government funding, Social Security, Medicaid, like Medicare, and like we were very poor. Like, she was counting her pennies even with those benefits. So these people that were supporting with these benefits, it's still not even enough. So it is a little scary to think that, you know, people in our communities who need this funding might not have it. But I think we talked about this last week. Like, we cannot live in fear and worry. We have to educate ourselves. We have to understand the rules so that we can learn how to break them. My teacher says that in learning to teach yoga, like, know the rules well enough that you know how to break them. Like, I literally got fired and lost all my money, and twice in like it hasn't even hit 2-year period. In a year and a half, I've lost 2 really important jobs, and I had to learn how to pivot. And I think that's one reason why, like, there are things that Trump administration is saying that they're doing, like, you know, taking fluoride out of the water. We had Dr. Asemi on the show, and we kind of talked about the toxicity of that. And, you know, in 2020, I was like one of the only people that was saying no to a vaccination. Like, it is kind of nice to hear that, like, his policies are going to go against like the FDA and like putting crap in our food and like putting laws against that. That stuff is really needed. And again, you guys, I don't like Trump. He's like not a nice person. Like, it's important to me that we have a leader who we can respect by the way he talks to people and the way he treats people. But we just have to kind of like understand so that we can either be like, you know, we can find some gratefulness in it. Because for me, like, it was really hard being in LA and not like I had to be secretive about not having the vaccine. Like, I didn't want people, I was more scared. I wasn't scared about like getting sick, or I really wasn't, because I was very healthy and I understand the restrictions because it helped the elderly and it helped people that, you know, like my sister at that time that was still recovering from breast cancer. Like, I wasn't going to be around her, you know, like I was safe about it, but I hated the fact that somebody was telling me what I could and couldn't put into my body. So like, I can understand that policy, but then, of course, as you know, there's states putting bans on abortion, which is, again, a lot of Republican voters telling, you know, people what to do with their body, which just doesn't make sense, right? Like, they're fighting the vaccine laws because, you know, they should be able to have control over their body, but then they're trying to control women. But anyway, my point of this, of what I'm trying to make, is reflect on what it is that's important to you. Know the rules so you know how to break them. And like, let's show up better. Let's show up, guys. Like, especially now, like, still living in California, like, as you know, I definitely like want to move to New York, but that would still just put me in like a very liberal state. But I think now more than ever, we have to show up for what it is that we're fighting for. Speaking of causes, I mentioned on last podcast that I was going to be partnering with the nonprofit, the Million Mile Project again, to close out the year. And because I started the year training for the LA Marathon, if you're new to the show, you don't remember this era, but I didn't end up running the LA Marathon, but I did raise just under $1,300 for the Million Mile Project, which is a nonprofit that supports, people who are suffering from mental health issues, substance abuse disorder. And what I like about the Million Mile Project is it really focuses on when they come out of recovery. Okay. So sometimes the idea or the decision to become sober is actually the easy part of becoming sober. It's getting thrown into the real world, right? We say that in yoga as well. When you come out of like being in Costa Rica and living this beautiful recovery learning yoga school world for 4 weeks, and then you have to like go back into the real world. We call it going back into the real world. So I like the Million Mile Project because it focuses on that 6-month period when people come out of recovery. They get mentorship to, help find a job, mentorship on finances. Like sometimes people's credits are just wrecked. So how to get back into housing. And usually people have burned so many bridges with friends and family, like being that person in the community for these people. This cause just means a lot to me. So I'm glad that I made the decision to work and spend my energy and time with the Million Mile Project to close out 2024 and enter 2025 with. And then again, now with like the election and everyone kind of up in arms and coming at California, I think it's really cool that I can directly impact the communities in California and walk the walk. You know what I mean? Like this is something that I really want to help the communities that need help. And yes, there's always the risk that somebody might like start using again and getting back on the street. And I can see like a side being like, why are we helping these people? Like, why are we helping? But like the majority of us are like middle class, and even the middle class the last couple of years have been suffering. So I think it's important to help people. If people are raising their hand and they legitimately are asking for help, even when they're not perfect, it makes me feel really good that I can like directly impact that in California. Like you can walk outside and like immediately be smacked in the face with, the issue in this country and just in California where I live with substance abuse disorder. So I feel good about like marching to that and supporting where I can. And if anybody wants to support or help, or maybe you work for a corporation that is looking for a nonprofit to partner with, especially with Giving Tuesday coming up, if corporations, that you are working alongside wants to give a donation that is a tax write-out, like please reach out to me. Okay. Like, help me. The team has a goal to hit $40,000. We're at $15K. So we're going to need a lot of support. But switching gears, I didn't want this to be like a super political rant. Like I honestly, like I can say to my community, because I hope you guys trust me, like I understand both sides. Like women are hurting, my gay community, trans, they are hurting right now. So I'm sending so much love to you guys. Like Kamala to me is just like such a class act. Like Trump makes me like cringe a little bit when I hear him talk, but out of respect to a lot of people that I love that are really excited about his leadership, like I am not going to sit here and trash him. I want you guys in the Coffee and Crystals community to just show up better than that. Like, let's be classier than that. We are moving on. We are understanding the objectives. We are going to educate ourselves, because especially us out here in California, like let's show up. Okay. Let's show the world why we care about Mother Earth. And, let's just be good. Be good. But shifting gears, I have been talking a lot about the winter arc on my social media, and I just want to make sure that like you guys are like really clear on what that means. I mean, I actually don't know. I haven't like really looked it up, but basically the winter arc is the time in winter where you kind of just like shut down the noise. You cut out all the crap, which I haven't cut out completely. And I'm going out with a girlfriend tonight. I mean, I'm still living. But in the busiest time of the year, the winter arc is when you kind of like really get disciplined and get to the nitty gritty of your goals. We have about 7 weeks left of the year. So if you want to start a podcast, that could be 7 episodes that you finish this year with. It's still a good amount of time. And the idea of the winter arc is getting up early, chasing after your goals, working out hard, eating clean, being a good human, and really like taking your purpose seriously. My purpose is to write a book and become an author. So really just buckling down on my writing. I have really also gotten really intimate with myself with coming back into my self-practice. My berries workouts are like a little bit more frequent because I am taking my strength training more seriously. So you guys see that on my social media, like checking into berries. I really like that place. I really like the music that they play, but there's still time. I want to invite you guys to start your own winter arc plan. I was thinking about the last time I really participated this well in the winter arc, and it was in 2013. I had just asked my boss at the time. I was working for Ann Taylor Loft to move me to New York, and she loved the idea. She gave me like a bunch of tasks that I had to like landmarks that I had to hit, business goals that I had to hit for her to move me and pay for my move. And with those work goals, I really like made some personal goals and weaved those in too. And I was getting up at 5 a.m. I was training like an athlete. I was writing my morning pages. I probably wrote the most to the book that I am still writing in that era. So it's kind of cool that I'm back into the winter arc trying to finish this book before the end of the year. I mean, I think I mentioned in last week's podcast that my sister just published a book. I'll drop the link again in today's show notes because you guys got to grab that. She's always inspiring me, and she kind of just inspired me to cut the BS and like finish this draft, and I can kind of enter 2025 in like publishing the book and working towards that step because the winter arc ain't playing around here in 2024. All right. I know this episode was all over the place. I hope it was helpful. And, if it gave you a little bit of hope or maybe just some guidance or inspiration on how to reflect about the election in your own life from your own lens, then share it with somebody that you think that this could benefit. And do your yoga homework. Stay hydrated, y'all. All right, I gotta get out of this bed. Literally, the sun is going down and I'm just getting out of bed. So I appreciate you guys. We'll tune in next week. Bye.